Okay, sweet. Now let's first of all kind of define ambient music, and then we'll jump into somewhat endless techniques of how to approach to ambient music and how to make it. But I think first conceptually, we have to understand what it is, because it is very different from for most other types of musics out there, okay, that we listen. And what's its purpose? What's its function? And maybe we'll start with the obvious. Dance music has a certain function. It's in the name, okay? When it comes to ambient music, it's less kind of um, intentional for the listener. And I just want to bring up this saying from Brian Eno, who coined the term ambient music. And at the time, because of also all the kind of commercials at the time and everything about the other industries, kind of was kind of accumulation, just an explosion that made this genre very popular at that time, especially after all the progression that happened with ambient, happened with music, thanks to the introduction of synthesizers. And we can trace back from very early on what today we can refer to ambient experiments, all the way from like the 30s and 40s with like Germany, Stockhausen, and all of those. But and people mention John Cage, and there's also, we'll see some techniques today that are not per se purely ambient, but nonetheless important, like Philip Glass, phased music, uh, Steve Reich, and others. Okay, we'll take some techniques, but Brian Eno can be seen as the main kind of, or at least coined the term ambient music. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but we are listening in the background to some Brian Eno, okay, where the name ambient music was coined. A lot of you also mentioned some other styles, the Apex Twin, the Jungle, right? All the Flying Lotus even. So absolutely all of them, and even today most music, have this level of texture, of vibe that is taken or at least inspired directly from ambient music. So all these techniques we're going to see today will benefit whatever style of music you make, or if you also want to make this type of just ambient music, okay? Now, it's also important, I hope you guys can hear me on top of the music.
Yeah.
Okay. It's also important to kind of mention, just very briefly, you can go read, there's a lot of interviews with Brian Eno. He's still making music, you know, articles and so on. But just one main thing that I saw in interviews, and I actually someone was teaching me this when I went to music school, about Brian Eno. He went through some car accident or some sort. He was laying in the hospital. Some lady put a record on, and she put it too quietly. And he couldn't move. So he couldn't change the record to turn it up. And he was just stuck there, start staring at the ceiling, counting the squares on the ceiling, and start noticing all these sounds that are not just this faint music from the record player, which was also maybe the AC or the birds outside or trucks going around. And this brings us to a conversation which we're not going to have today, which what is music? Okay, is it only this sequence of different pitches in a certain rhythm that we can then recite, or is anything music like birds chirping outside? So again, this is just an open question. We're not gonna answer that. But ambient music is not imposing itself onto a listener like any other type of music, most type of music, that it's not meditative or for any type of trance kind of thing, um, is not imposing itself to the listener. And I think this is a great saying. How can we make it interesting enough for people who are listening, but how we can also blend it in the background for perfectly for people that don't even notice it's there, for people who are not listening. Wait, I had something in the chat. Oh, thank you, Nisi. You said something? Thank you. Also, I send a link of a list of links in the chat. I'll also share it in an email, okay? It's just all the different tools for ambient music. Um, Nice. Now, we're gonna start approach. Let's just jump straight into it, because I think ambient music, if you say to anyone a style, ambient music above all is something that I feel like most people can already imagine. There's no need for us to go in and it has this, it has this, it has this. It's just super chilled out soundscapes, things, just sounds moving around, evolving slowly over a long period of time and blending in the background, but hopefully we can make it interesting enough to also for listening, okay? Now, today, because of the computers, ambient music is so accessible that it has a resurgence in some way with all the, I don't know a better term, I don't know if it's insulting or not, I'm sorry, I'm a foreigner, hippies, that are, you know, new hippies, hipsters, whatever you want to call them, that, and I live in the mecca in the world of it, okay, in Highland Park in Los Angeles. So just bear in mind, I'm one of them. Because ambient music was forgotten for 20, 30 years. Again, implanted in its own way in music with heavier beats on top of that, which is amazing, but as its own thing was forgotten. With the resurgence of modular synths and of course this culture, we can see a resurgence of events. If anyone's in LA, there's an event called Music Under a Tree in the Daylight. That's the name of the event, which is amazing, and it's all mostly ambient music. Music Under a Tree in the Daylight. That's the name of the event in Los Angeles once a month. So it's great, and now it's super accessible, and we have so many different tools that allows us to create ambient music very easily. And let me show you a few of them before we go into Ableton techniques that you can take to anywhere. We'll talk about synthesis, generative, sequencers, modulation. We'll talk about all of these things that will benefit you with whatever music you make. But first, some specifically ambient tools. And when was this? 13 years ago, someone released this Justin Bieber song, Slow Down 800%. Okay, let's listen to this. Do I need to? Can I just play it? Doesn't let me skip ahead. Anyway, beautiful. You can skip ahead. It goes, it develops, it evolves. It's really awesome. So this was made with a free tool called Paul X Stretch. I pasted in the chat. Now it's like updated, still kind of clunky, but an updated version of the plugin. And you can just download it for free, load it up. I'll just show you what's going on. So this is an audio effect. You can put it on an audio track, and you can play stuff directly to it, or you can load up a song or whatever you want into it. So let's go and load something like, guys, he's a great producer, by the way, 813. Okay, it's not about this, but it's a fire song. Okay, so I just dragged it here. I dropped it in here, okay? Now, just to make it easier to work with Ableton, just note that I would recommend going to settings, and right here, play when host transport running, turn it on. So that means when I hit play on Ableton, it will also play, okay, the actual, right there, the sample. So this can be annoying without it. So just make sure that you turn it on, hit play, and then when you hit play on Ableton, it will also play on the sampler. Sweet. Now, right here, we have the stretch amount. So I think they did 600. Let's go like crazy, I don't know. Or 800, whatever. It's gonna take forever to get there. So let's see if we can just adjust the beginning and the end here. Let's just go with this section, okay? Let's filter it. Maybe we'll pitch shift it a tiny bit. Okay, you have other, I don't know if you can hear me on top of that. You have other models that you can turn on right here. And then it's a bunch of filters and stuff that you can further alternate the sound, add harmonics. It's like a FFT filter. So this is just a super quick way to make this endless evolving soundscapes. Depends on the song that you load up, because they're just playing, they're just stretching extreme. It's basically extreme stretch. Okay, that's what it is. Paul X stretch, extreme stretch. So this is a very easy tool to bring, to load, and you can function it as a drone, which we'll talk about in a second what that is. But Paul X stretch, I just wanted to show you that. We're not going to use it today because I want to show you like the Ableton techniques. Okay, but this is a free plugin. I will include it with the download so for everyone to check out. Okay, let me fold this. I'm gonna close actually my camera on Zoom so I can bring it on right here. Here we go. Okay, awesome. Nice. So that is one tool which is super awesome. Another plugin that I will highly recommend downloading. Let's already go to this project that I will also share with you. And most of the devices that I'm giving you links to are in this project, so you can also save them through there, or just download them directly from the link. You do need the latest version of Ableton Suite 11, Ableton Suite, because a lot of these are Max for Live stuff. And we talked about Max for Live in one of our meetups, but essentially it only comes with the Suite version of Ableton. It's a different software that is implanted in Ableton and allows us to do endless stuff. Okay, so once again here I have Paul Stretch just as an example in the project. We can fold that. Nice. Now a few things before, kind of a few techniques here and approaches. First of all, another plugin that I highly recommend downloading, they just updated it, is Supermassive. Okay, Supermassive, I give you the link. It's just a delay that can turn into a reverb. If I just play it, let's reset Supermassive here. I have a piano. And you know what? Before the piano, another recommendation, I didn't add it to the list, but I should. This is free. I don't know if people can please mute yourself and unmute when you have questions, okay? But mute yourself, I hear some movement. Labs is a free plugin, comes with a bunch of stuff, a lot of different instruments, including a tape piano. Let's load this. It can be quite a good lo-fi starting point. Okay, this is free. Labs by Spitfire Audio. And it comes with a bunch of different instruments. This is the tape piano. Nice. Supermassive. Where's Supermassive? Underspace. Supermassive. Nice. This is, very quickly, just so we'll see this. It's free and it's an amazing delay that can turn into a reverb. So by default, it's a delay. Okay? Now if I start turning up the warp and the density, and let's bring out the feedback. Okay, it can be very ambient type of reverb. It has a lot of different modes. I also gave you a link to check out all these different modes, because essentially how this works is on a system of delays, feedback delays, and that's why it's not really a classic reverb delay. It's more different modes that change the attack, release, and sustain of those delays, and how much density or how much reverb or delay they are. And there's some really amazing stuff here that I would recommend exploring. So that's the Gemini, right? And there's a lot of other, right? It's completely different. Check it out. It comes with a bunch of presets as well. But it's free, and we're probably going to use it today. And can be very ambient. Supermassive from Valhalla. Check them out, it's free. Okay? Nice. Sweet. Now, let's first of all, before we do anything, two essentials for ambient music that can translate to a lot of other things, like techno, any type of music that need pads. But let's first of all differentiate between a drone to a pad. Okay? Does anyone know? Can anyone tell me one sentence, the difference? Because they're very similar.
No.
What? Okay.
No, I can't.
Okay. Anyone? Very similar, but the
think a
main
pad,
difference. Well, go ahead, please.
I think a pad might change a little more over time, possibly.
Change
Or,
what?
it might evolve with its textures, where drone might be a little more steady, possibly.
Okay, so a drone can also be evolving with its textures, but
Yeah.
but you're right in the fact that in the pad, something more is changing, and it's unnecessarily got to do with the sound. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Maybe the envelope?
Not the envelope. We're talking to something not sound. I want you to go outside of sound design.
And
Well,
mix.
I guess you use chords. with
Exactly. Thank you,
pads.
Chris. Thank you, Chris. Exactly. So a pad can be a drone. Just hold one note, or an octave and a fifth. They're all consonants. They're all hollow. But once you start changing it into a chord progression or even some melody, there's a line there. But with a chord progression, then it becomes into a pad. So they're very similar, but drone and drone generators usually just kind of hold one note or can glide between different notes and then just hold them. It can be a chord, but you just hold that chord, okay? Drone music is ancient. And a lot of music cultures have those type of drones that on top of that, they express their musical culture. A very good example of it is Indian music. A lot of times with Indian music, they have a drone that is being played by some instrument, even a sitar or this, I think it's called harmonium. They have like this pump kind of thing. It's basically giving them a drone, and on top of that, they play everything from tabla. If you guys know tabla, it's just those pitched drums. They have a pitch. I have a friend who's a really good tabla player. He has a whole closet with different tablas because each one is a different note. To all the way to singing ragas, right? They sing these quarter tones, but everything is on top of a drone, okay? We can see drone all the way back to origins of rock music, which is blues. In some way, blues also conceptually have a drone of those repeated chords. Then on top of that, the musician can express himself with a guitar solo. So a drone is essentially just something that is just holding, and you can use a pad for that, okay? But there's a lot of different kind of drone generators out there. And let me show you a few free ones that you already have or can download for free. The first one is in a pack, a live pack that you have or can download if you have Ableton Suite, that is literally called Drone Lab, okay? And inside the Drone Lab, you have a bunch of instruments that you can use. There's sets that you can check out, even MIDI clips, okay? But there's also a Harmonic Drone Generator, which is a free Max for Light device. Here it is. I'm gonna open up a new MIDI track, and I'm gonna drag it in so we can check it out. As soon as you drag it in, it works, okay? So you have 8 different tones here, and each one can be a different interval. Okay, a different octave, different panning. You can add a sub. Okay, and I'm sure it will sound much nicer with a reverb. Let's delete that. There's a preset here called Skies Below that is already with an effect track with reverb and stuff. Might sound a bit better. Here we have the root note of everything, so I can... Okay, Harmonic Drone Generator. Maybe we'll use it later, we'll add it to our stuff. But it's just gonna hold there, you can automate things, and very soon I'll show you also how to start randomizing things. Because right now, this is generating everything.